In order to get to the specific question that he wants to, Hartshorne does have to deal with a general topic, big topic in metaphysics of time and what he calls temporal relations. What is this rock? I mean, what is this really important thing to keep in mind? Page 98, towards the top of the second column. Death is not sheer destruction, the turning of being into not being. To me, at least, it is a truism, though one often forgotten, that whatever death may mean, it cannot mean that a man is first something real and then something unreal. So the notion that we are here, and then when we're not here, that we are nothing, that we are sheer non-being, is to Hartshorne, that it's a truism that that can't be true. It's a truism that that's false. That once we exist, we continue to exist in some form forever, because being cannot become non-being. So exactly what our being is after we die is really what's at issue here. Okay. So he says that, when we talking about, referring to Washington, there are different ways of thinking about it. He says one way is to think that just as we can refer to Washington now, even though he's not here, we can say George Washington and that means something. We could have said it before he was born, and it would have meant something. That is, it says, according to this theory, this is the bottom of page 98 in the first column, prior to birth, the individual is there behind the stage entrance, ready to come on the stage, and after death he is there beyond the exit through which he has passed off the stage. According to the other view, prior to birth, there just is no such individual as Washington, and that's what he ends up believing. That is, Hartshorne says, it doesn't make any sense it wouldn't have made any sense to refer to Washington before he was born. He wasn't waiting in some form, like an eternal soul in limbo or something, to come onto the stage. If we talk about reference again, that before Washington was born, or before any of us are born, come into existence, there is no referent for the reference Washington or anything else. He says no one refers to any individual whose life lies centuries in the future, as many of us do refer to individuals who live centuries in the past. Where there is no reference, there need be no referent. So he says the question is, at the bottom of the paragraph on the second column, page 98, the only question is, was it there all along as a life that was going to be lived? He rejects this view. He believes that this is incompatible with a sensible view of time in general. And then, some pretty deep stuff in pages 98, 99, 100, in which he rejects what he considers to be the modern, the view of time in modern physics, where time, in terms of past, present, and future, is all relative to us, and there is no absolute time, so we should think of all events happening in the universe at the same time. It's just that because of our limitedness, we can only experience one region or another at any particular moment, so we regard that as the present, but that we should regard all things, all events in the universe, past, present, and future, as just being laid out in some way, and that we can only inspect them in a limited way, and that's our view of time. He rejects that for various reasons. One of which is that he just can't get his mind around quantum physics or relativity, and I'm sure he's way ahead of me in that respect. So he rejects that, and he rejects also the idea that we just have the present, that there is no reality to the past or future. He thinks that calls that on page 100 in the top of the first column. He says, if we drop this impossible extreme, that is, that we only have the passing moment and therefore can't refer to anything in the past, then we must also break once for all with the idea of death as simple destruction of an individual. Either individuals are eternal realities, items in a complex of events, which as a whole never came to be, and cannot cease to be, but simply is, or else individuals are not eternal, since there are new ones from time to time, but yet once in the total of reality, no individual can pass from this total. That's really what he's saying, the latter, that's what he's advocating. An individual becomes. He does not de-become or unbecome. He is created, he is not destroyed or decreated. What then is death? So, according to Hartshorne's view, we come into the world at a specific time and in a specific place. We then die. We do. We go out of the world. But we live a life, and somehow or another, that life that we live, the time that we existed, takes a permanent place in the universe so that it can continue to be referred to, for instance, as part of the past. That we are created, but we are not decreated. We become, but we do not unbecome or de-become. But clearly we die. And clearly whatever existence we have, if any, beyond death is very, very different from the existence that you and I have right now. So what then is death? And, what is he talking about in terms of immortality? Well, he gets to the real heart of his idea on page 100, at the bottom of the first column, when he says, death is the last page of Death is the last page of the last chapter of the book of one's life. And that's the idea that he fleshes out in the rest of the essay, and we'll devote one more talk to examining that.